Good to see you in the Lord's house tonight. We do want to open up with prayer. Go and ask Steve if he would open us in prayer tonight.
When
go to the Lord in prayer. Any special prayer requests? Any others? Any others? Anyone else?
The family that has a need, the Lord knows all about it.
I mentioned their names this morning, but John Roach has been moved to the unit, and Calvin and Cece Curry, husband and wife, they both are in the hospital with COVID, and she's very sick, sicker than he is.
Any others?
Talked to Cindy about the church, and she's got fever again, but the boys are doing better and husband are doing better. She's feeling all right, but still wants prayer.
Remember Tammy and her family. Remember Miss Marjorie and also Miss Francis as they both recover from surgery. Remember our lost. There's a great, great need. Pray for the lost. Lord, and ask Scotty if he would take the request of the Lord in prayer.
Most gracious, eternal Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you, Lord, for another beautiful Monday morning, Lord, Sunday evening service, Lord. Lord, I just ask you tonight, Lord, bless each and every one that's come this way tonight, Lord. Lord, I know you've heard all these requests that were brought forth, Lord.
Good evening, church.
What a day, glorious day that will be.
There is coming a day where no heartache shall come, no more clouds in the sky, no more tears to dim the eye. All is peace forevermore on that happy golden shore. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see. When I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace, when he takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. There'll be no sorrow there, no more burdens to bear, no more sickness, no pain, no more parting over there. And forever I will be with the one who died for me. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day that will be When my Jesus I shall see, when I look upon his face, the one who saved me by his grace. When he takes me by the hand, leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a day, glorious day that will be. What a glorious day. Thank you, Jesus.
The day is almost here.
Lori can't hear and Uncle Michael can't hear. We are going to do our presentation on Belize tonight. Sorry, but my throat has started closing up on me since choir practice, but I've got a microphone. But we are so honored to be able to go this year. Not being able to go last year was just it just broke our hearts because of COVID. And so we were so thankful to get to go. Our team was small. We only had 6 of us that went. But we worked. In years previous, everybody kind of rotated doing their Bible lesson and everything. But this year, everybody did everything every time. But that was okay. Midway is the village that Unity provided the church building for. And Midway Village had been shut down for a month because of a COVID outbreak. And Miss Liz kept telling me, Michelle, I don't know if y'all going to be able to go. Michelle, I don't know if you're going to be able to go. We don't know. We, left out Sunday to go to Charleston. Midway was still in lockdown. Monday, we got to Belize, and Brother Gene had gotten a text that Midway opened up Monday, and we were able to drive down south, and Tuesday, we were able to be with them, and we give God the praise for that. The pastor of the church is father-son pastorship, and his wife had died a month before. And so 2 weeks after his wife died, or a little bit before a month, 2 weeks after his wife died is when the village got shut down. And when they shut down these villages in Belize, nobody comes in, nobody comes out, and they are not supposed to leave their homes unless they're going to the outhouse or they're going to gather food. So it was a very difficult time, they said, for their family of losing the mother and the wife and the grandmother, and then not being able to go and love on the family, which we've experienced that here with some of our deaths of not being able to go, but not even the son being able to go to the father's house or the daughter being able to go. It was really hard, but they were still excited that we were there. We did get to have Vacation Bible School in the new church building, and they have already grown out of that church building. They are actually looking to expand and add on to that building. So we give God the praise and glory for that. We bought the church from the Catholic Church, if y'all remember there, and the Catholic Church had left a light bill unpaid. For years and years and years, that church had been vacant. And Midway Village did not have the money to pay the light bill, to get the lights turned back on, the electricity turned on. So they had a single drop cord running from one of the huts, they don't really have houses, to give, they had one light bulb over the center, and then Belizeans are really big into music. They probably had speakers about this big in that little church. And that one drop cord was providing power for their speakers and their microphone and their one light bulb. So, but we were able to satisfy that debt for them. And so now hopefully they will have safe lights and stuff. But the children were excited. There weren't as many children there because of COVID. The limits in Belize was we could meet for 1 hour in a church building, and you needed to be at half capacity. So we're usually there between 2.5 hours, so you can imagine trying to get everything down to an hour, but we did it. Our lessons this year, God had laid on our heart the year before, the armor of God. So we took a blow-up mannequin, and our first village, Midway, named him Bobby. We told him it had to be a name that was a boy or a girl name, so we had Bobby. And when we would blow up Bobby, the kids were already like, what is happening? Because it was just you'll see a picture of Bobby, but Bobby was just a solid black mannequin. And Jason, most of the time, had the duty of blowing Bobby up every village. So, and then we talked about each piece of the armor of God, and we put the armor of God and a physical armor of God onto Bobby, and the kids were able to see that we can go from something without any protection, without any offensive weapons, and through God, we can have the full armor of God put on. So we were also able to, for the first time, give out food to the villages. Because Belize is there's not very much industry in Belize, but their primary industry is tourism. So because the country's been shut down for over a year, you can imagine the loss. And the southern region is very rocky and mountainous, and it's very hard to grow food. We provided food for 50 children. We gave them 2 pounds of rice, 2 pounds of beans, and 2 pounds of flour. Now, can you imagine your children coming home from Vacation Bible School with food and they're excited? Not in America. If we were to give our children 2 pounds of beans and 2 pounds of rice and 2 pounds of flour, they would snub their noses up at them. But we had children that were 2 and 3 years old taking that 6 pounds and lugging it to wherever they were having to walk to or ride a bicycle, and they were thrilled. But just to give you a little, y'all will probably have to help me with this, to give 50 children in that village cost us how much American money? $900. That's a lot of American money for 2 pounds of beans, 2 pounds of rice, and 2 pounds of flour for 50 children. So you can imagine if you make $2.50 an hour, and you might get to work, you might not get to work. They haven't been working for a month because of the shutdown. How hard that would be to try to feed your family. So God blessed y'all to bless us to take that down there, and we fed 4 more villages, if I'm not mistaken, with the 2 pounds of beans, 2 pounds of rice, and 2 pounds of flour. Some of the other villages had already been fed by a previous team that went and did a feeding too. So we thank God for that. When we moved back up to the middle of the country where the farmers are, the food wasn't nearly as expensive, but we were really blown away by how much it cost us to feed those children. And one of the villages, most of the churches just meet and have church as a family. They don't really have children's church or Sunday school or any type of ministry. But one little church we went to, it's called Independence, and it was a shed on the side of a house, I guess is what you'd call it, and had no walls. And because of COVID, they had to still do social distancing, so they had added on a thatch roof kind of thing, and they had logs split for a walkway because it had been raining a lot, so it was muddy. And if I stood on those logs to walk, I couldn't stand completely straight up because the roof was just that low. But that particular church, when we got there, a lady was there with some of the children, and they were up singing. And so she had a children's ministry with them. And you could definitely tell those children knew some of the Word of God. They weren't ashamed to speak out and participate. So when it was time for us to leave, I asked the lady who was over them, I said, can you help us get the children lined up? We're going to give each child a bag of food. And we already had given them their little goodie bags of what we already have prepared for them. And then they go out, and we give them a little cup of Kool-Aid. And she said, yeah, I'll help you, because there is some language barrier for some of them. And she came up to me. She said, you said food for each child, or you mean a bag of food for each family? I said, no, a bag of food for each child. She said, oh. I mean, she was so excited that each child was going to get the 2 pounds of rice, the 2 pounds of beans, and the 2 pounds of flour. And you didn't hear them complain about how much it weighed, or it was hard for them to carry, and you'll see some of that in the pictures. But that really touched my heart, to think that they were so excited that each child, and that's because of what y'all helped give, how you were generous in our fundraising, and that you're obedient. Because I know not everybody's called to go, but y'all are called to give, and we do appreciate that. Another little side note for me personally, I'll go ahead and tell my personal story since I'm up here. But we went in 2019, and we didn't get to go in 2020. But in 2019, this year we got to visit some of those that we visited 2 years ago. And we have our mask on, and they have their mask on. And, you know, kids grow a lot in 2 years, and some of you don't quite recognize, especially with a mask on. And after we did our teaching, we would kind of go and help them do their little craft and talk to them. And one little boy, I had pulled my mask down so he could read my lips a little bit better of trying to communicate with him. And he said, I remember you. And that just warms your heart, because I was like, yeah. And I had pictures on my phone from the previous time, and I was showing him, and I said, remember? I taught him how to blow bubbles. He had never blown bubbles, and we had given him out bubbles, and his eyes just lit up. But when he said, I remember you, you know, it does your heart good. And our very last village that we were at was a nice church. It was one that the Pentecostal Holiness Church had built. And when we build churches down there, we try to build them for hurricane shelters as well. There's a concrete floor. They have the steel beams, and just a place for the villages to have a safe place to go during a hurricane. But we got there, and we were like, man, this is a nice building. And we were impressed, you know. It had sheetrock on the ceiling and stuff. And we had 6 kids. 6. That was it. We had just left the little Independence Village that had the thatch roof that Jimmy couldn't stand all the way, or Jason couldn't stand up in. And there were 30-something or 40 kids in that village sitting on a bench. And this church had chairs and was nice. And there were 6 little kids. No adults, just the 6 kids had walked there. But being the last village is always a great thing for the kids, because they get all the leftovers. You know, the first villages, you can't give them 2 of anything because you're not sure how many kids you're going to have. So the last village, they get the leftovers. And to kind of lighten the mood and let the kids know that we're here for them, that we're not there to have traditional church, we use a beach ball. We'll throw the beach ball, and they'll hit it. So it doesn't take long for a lot of those boys, especially over there, to get wound up, and they get excited about the beach ball. And you'll see a picture on the screen of one of them. Whenever that beach ball would come to him, his face would just light up. For the very last village, we were giving away our supplies, so we gave the beach ball to that one little boy. He walked up to me. He said, this is the best day ever, because he got a beach ball, 50-cent beach ball. And he got a toothbrush, and he got toothpaste, and he got a little thing of markers. And he probably got some other little toys that probably came from the Dollar Tree or something, but it was the best day ever. And that's why I do it. That's why we go. The Lord gave me this scripture one night. I was studying, and when I read it, he said, that's what you do in Belize. It's Mark chapter 4, verse 30 and 32. It says, the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. It is small at first, then grows into the largest plant in the garden. And I told the team, I said, you know, we might not ever see the fruits of our labor, but all we got to do is plant the seed. And we're not there planting a huge seed. You know, we're not going to be on CNN or Fox News or look what, you know, the team from Unity Christian Fellowship did. And that's not why we do it. But we're there just to plant the seed. If that little boy remembers me and remembers, hopefully, something I taught him about God, but I've always felt like when we go, I tell them for years, we're there to give them hope. Because if you've ever been in poverty or extreme poverty, they don't have hope. They don't have a hope for the future. Leah is getting ready to graduate high school, and she has a hope that she's going to college and she can do whatever God has planned for her. She has a hope that she can do that. These kids don't. Delilah is a little girl I met on my very first mission trip back in 2007. She was a baby. I got to see her this year. She's 14. I said, Delilah, are you still going to school? She said, no, ma'am, I'm through. I said, next year, Delilah will probably have a baby at 15. Because that's what they do. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but she doesn't have a hope of, like my Leah has a hope of doing things. So I want to give, you know, we want to give them hope that God loves them and that Jesus died for them and that there are great things planned for them, even in poverty, even in the villages where they still sleep in huts and they don't have beds. They sleep in hammocks, and you have to use an outhouse. You might not have food for 3 meals, but there's still hope, and that's what we're there for. And I hope, my hope, is that when I'm dead and gone, that little boy that said, "I remember you," or that little boy that said, "This is the best day ever," maybe one day they'll be leaving Belize and going to other countries and telling other kids about Jesus and spreading the good news. I just do want to say this, and Lori, you're going to have to help me remember, what was the lady's name that donated these? Mandy Hathcock, right, Hathcock, was a lady that is just friends with Lori on Facebook. Lori doesn't really know her personally, but she contacted Lori when Lori put something about going to the missions field, and she said, "I want to donate some crafts." She says, "I do woodwork. Is there anything y'all could use? Is there anything I can do?" Well, Lori told her we were doing something about the armor of God, and she donated. I know you won't be able to see them, but this is a little wooden cutout, and it has the armor of God and all the pieces on it. What was that? Bobby on the board. And she also had somebody donate the money to provide the markers for the kids. Usually we give them crayons, and we have to take the crayons back up because we have to go to different villages. But she, a lot of them, she already had bagged, separated for each child, and she donated these. It took hours for her to, cut these out and do these. And this is what each child got, and it has a little rope on it. They can hang it up or keep it wherever. It's not very big. But to remind them the pieces of the armor of God, and we do want to thank her for that, for donating that. Okay, who wants to go next?
So like all the trips in the past, we always start out with something that goes wrong. So this year it was the hotel that we booked, and it wasn't the hotel that we had booked, and had to go find the hotel that we were scheduled to stay at, or reservations to stay at. So in previous years, we would always had a little issue with a flat tire, or well, actually 2 flat tires. One with Maylee and Michelle when they went to Belize one year. But I don't really have a favorite part. I enjoy it all, but the fun part of it is like Michelle said, is seeing the kids get excited about little things that our kids even myself take for granted a lot of times. It's just, their eyes get big, they swell up. Christmas Day for them is when mission teams go down there. I'm not sure if they celebrate like we do, but our kids have it all just about. Anything they ask for, they can get just about, except a new car. It's for me, I don't get excited until about 2 weeks out, and then I get nervous, and because I know most of these guys are a lot older than me, or act like it, and I take it. I have to, they're my responsibility. My wife, on our first trip, Miss Linda, told me I better bring her back alive. So I take that responsibility with all of them. And, they're not my kids 365 days a year. They're just my kids for about 11 days. And I pick on them, some more than others. And sometimes I might overdo it, but sometimes I think it's worth it to just let them, Steve's mad at me. No, you would know if I was mad at you, right, Lori? So I was given, I got to do the first devotion, and I read a devotion every morning. I was reading 2 until I finished one that way ahead of schedule, but The first one was out of Matthew, and it says, "Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is indeed plentiful, but the laborers are few. So pray to the Lord of the harvest to force out and thrust laborers into his harvest." Our group was small this year. We normally carry 14, 15 people. This year we only had 6. Well, 6.5 with Bobby. But, 2 years ago, I went and I couldn't do anything because I was scheduled for surgery when I got back. I couldn't lift over 5 pounds, So this year, a little different story. Had, Jason with his issues earlier in the year, and then Jimmy with his neck and stuff. I don't mind. This is one time I don't mind putting the load on myself. At work, I'm always accused of trying to do too much, to let my workers do the work. That's what I get paid for. I don't see this way, because, I have a part to do too. And I like to be the behind-the-scenes kind of guy. I don't like to be out there in the front only when I have to do my part of the little presentation of the armor of God, which was the helmet of salvation, So I got to get up there and do that. But any other time, I sit back. I don't sing. I might go through the motions with them sometimes, but I'm not going to sing because I know that's not my talent. And that's not what I'm there for, My middle daughter told me when she was 2 to be quiet right over there when I tried to sing that one time. So that tells me something. So it's just, I look forward to it. We didn't get to go last year. I hope this Delta variant doesn't cause us any problems any longer than it needs to, and hopefully it doesn't get in our way next year. But, to everybody that prayed for us, supported us financially or with prayer or with helping us get the stuff together, gather the things up that we took, that is also a very stressful part of it because, this year we only had 6, and we had a lot of stuff to carry. Michelle said, try to carry 50 of these crafts. Well, I took stuff out to make sure I had stuff the room for that kind of stuff, And then I'll get there, and I told Michelle, I'm missing shorts. I'm missing 3 pair of shorts. Well, I left them because I took them out and never put them back in because I put the crafts in there. But, that's part of it, though. I made do with what I had. When we got to somewhere and we were able to do whatever shopping we wanted to do, and it just works out every time. It doesn't matter what happened; it'll always work out because we were there because we were supposed to be there. Just because it was just us 6 this year, next year might be Melissa. Might be Miss Shirley. It might be Zach or Jesse. Jesse mentioned something about it. It doesn't matter. God knows already who's going next year. We don't, not yet. Some of us might say I'll never go, but I growing up in Texas, and I didn't ever think I'd be doing this kind of thing. So it's fun, it's exciting, and it's rewarding. Because like Michelle said, the little girl or the little boy, I remember you. It's worth it when you see that smile. Delilah, 2007. So we see these kids grow, and we see what they've become, and they're still showing up. That means something to us, or to me anyway. So I want to thank y'all, and just keep praying for us, because I don't know if we'll do this as long as we're led to do it, but things get in the way sometimes. But just keep us in your prayers, and I'll pass it on to the next one.
Hold it close. I don't need a microphone, but the preacher done gave me orders. I guess the best part of the trip, I'm like Steve. If you've never been, this is an experience you need to go. If you feel on your heart to go, it's something you'll never regret. We gave them, and I was telling Lori, coming to church, we give all our kids around here 24/7 anything they need. If I took that there and give my grandson and I took my grandkids on the burner, You give them a $5 bag of toys, what they going to do? Papa, what's this? That's all you're going to get for a month. But to start our trip off, we walking through the airport. My wife says, I've lost my phone. You've lost your what? We already 2 terminals down some escalators on the bottom of another runway in Atlanta Airport. Luckily, somebody was honest and gave the phone in, and I think Jason or either Steve called it, then Steve called me, and I'm like, how do you know where the phone's at? Luckily, we found her phone. God be the glory for that part. Not I'm buying a $1,500 phone I get back home. But you know, when you go to these villages, it's just amazing how the kids are already there waiting on you, sitting on go. The smiles on their faces, it just does something to your heart. Midway is our town. We love Midway. But we went to the village in Independence where we met Cujo. And you're going to see Cujo if they put him on the screen. It's a big black dog. Well, he didn't like Bobby. And luckily he was on a rope about that big around. Brother Peter broke the rope. I told Jason, you on your own. I'm gone. But it was just one of these trips. We had the most fun, but we loved the kids. We hate to leave. And one thing I'm going to say at the end, if you ever get on a plane, don't have sunflower seeds in your backpack. They thought I was bringing them out to plant over here, and they was going to take my sunflower seeds. I had to tell the man, hey, boy, I eat them in America. Please don't take my sunflower seeds. I got a long way home. I'm done.
All right, well, preacher, you're lucky because somebody did turn in my phone or you wouldn't have had the pictures. Steve, that's a running joke because I was filming at Midway of them handing out food, but I was filming behind the trailer that Steve was in, sweating, so he's not on the video. Angel is, because she was handing out the food. And then I think Michelle was inside Midway talking to the Hancocks and to the preacher in the new church because they were talking about ceiling fans and things of that nature that they wanted for the church. Oh, and we did. We provided or purchased five ceiling fans to be put up in there. The electricity is going. The ceiling fans have been bought. Now we just need somebody to go over there and fix the electricity. Michael? They need some wiring done over there. He's looking at me over his glasses, y'all. Y'all can't see him. But yeah, Steve always gave me a hard time about all I was doing was taking pictures and all I was doing was making videos. And so we got to one hotel and the next morning I got up and I came to the table. This is what he was talking about, me saying he was mad. He said, Lori, where's your phone? I said, today, I'm not making a picture. I'm not making a video. I'm not going to smile at the children. I'm not going to love on the children. Steve sat there maybe 2 minutes eating his breakfast, and all of a sudden he looked at me. He said, have you ever seen me mad? And I said, well, no. And he said, you need to go get your phone or you're going to see me mad. It's just little things that, that we've got going. But we was talking about Midway. Yes, I was so upset because we didn't think we was going to get to go. And the preacher told us, sitting there after they picked us up from the airport, we were sitting there eating lunch, and he said, oh, by the way, Midway's open. Y'all can go to bar. And I looked at Michelle, and I guess she noticed my face. I was like, yay. Because there's a girl there that I met 2 years ago, and her name's Jessica. And I've seen her every time that she's come. She's a beautiful young lady and can sing like an angel. And she sang for us this time. Michelle wouldn't let her get out of it, even though we ran a little bit over the time we were supposed to. And so the pastor got up and told her, he said, you need to sing the song in 3 languages. And she did. She sang it in English, in Quechua, and in Spanish. Isn't that right? It's just a blessing. It's just a blessing. Yes, there's a language barrier. But when the Lord's in it, you understand. We was in one of the churches, and the pastor got up to pray. And I told Michelle, and I actually videoed it, but I told her, I said, I had cold chills, and he was praying in Spanish. I have no idea what he said, but I could feel it. I could feel it. Steve saying he knew what he said, but I didn't know what he was saying, but I could feel it. So it doesn't matter if there's a language barrier. Those kids come in with smiles on their faces. If they see you smile back, which was kind of hard when we had the mask on, but you pulled the mask down, you smile at them. We went to Bladen, which is where Delilah is, and Angel and I was standing up next to the door, and they would come to the door and they would look at us. We would say, come on in, come on in. They would come in and they would sit down and they would watch you, especially if they'd never seen you. But there was one little girl, her name was Hannah. And she came in and she got between me and Angel. And we said, you want to sit down? She said, I stay with you. And she held on to me and Angel the whole time. We would have to literally pry away from her to be able to go do what we were going to do. And her mother came up to me afterwards. I don't know if she spoke to Angel or not. But she said, thank you for loving my little girl. She said, she's a miracle baby. I wasn't supposed to have her. She said, and then when I was pregnant, I had to have my appendix removed, and the doctor said we would both die. And I said, but you're here. And she said, yes, and she's here. And she looked at me and she said, and I love you. It's just the little things. Yes, my grandkids love me, and the kids in this church, I know, love all of us. But it's those children that look like they are just, I'm not going to say begging for love. Yet they're hungry. They're hungry. In every village we went, Independence, I told them after we got in the van, I said, okay, Independence is a close second with Midway. I said, that one had my heart. There was a little boy, we were doing some of the Bible stuff, and we turned around and I said, Michelle. She said, somebody needs to get a picture of that. And of all times, I didn't have my phone right when I needed it. Can you believe it? I did get a picture of the little boy when he got off the bike, but he was riding the bike and he had 3 little ones sitting on the bike with him, and that's how he brought them to church. They're hungry. And y'all help us to help them. I had somebody that donated some money for the fishing tournament. Michelle told us, please be able to, send those that helped, send them some pictures and show what we did. And his wife sent me a long thing back, and at the very end, she said, thank you for being his hands and feet when we can't. And I know you've said that before from the pulpit. Michelle has said it before, but for some reason, for her to say that to me, it just hit me. We are an extension. We are his hands and feet when we go over there. And like all of them have said, the little kids with the food, they'd drag it if they had to. And I even asked Michelle when she was talking about giving out food, I said, per family, right? She said, no, each child. I said, but what if a family's got 5 children? She said, then they get 5. They get 5 bags. And the parents were just ecstatic. But then we started seeing some that would go out and they would bring in more. And we gave what we could. We gave what we had. until we ran out. But I want to thank y'all. Thank y'all, like Jimmy and them said. Thank y'all for praying. Thank y'all for helping us get there. I think Michael's always said, I'm not called to go, but I'm called to send you. It's true. Not everybody can. I never thought that I would. Jimmy and I had discussed it because we have friends in the Church of God that are on missions teams. My stepmother, my grandparents were missionaries in Africa. So it looks like that something would have rubbed off, even though she's my stepmother. She came along after my mother passed. But when I first told her that we were going to Belize, and she said, can you not go to the Congo? Can you not go to Africa? That's where I need you to go. I said, but that's not where God needs me to go. But I do. I want to thank y'all and just know from the bottom of my heart, I hope y'all see how much love these kids have. And they do remember us. I think the ones at Midway more than any, because there's one when Jessica went with us the very first year, there was a little baby, and they begged Jessica to bring her home with them because they knew she would have a better life here. Every year, I've got to, because Jessica's not been able to go back, I've got to see that little girl grow. And I sent Jessica a picture of her this year. And Jessica said, please tell me that's not my baby. I said, that is your baby. I said, and now she's got a little sister. So I took a picture of the little sister, and she said, okay, well, now I got two babies, and I'm not even there. But thank y'all, and pray for us. I've already, we had some stuff donated that we didn't get to do anything with for this missions trip. I've already had stuff running through my mind about how to go ahead and start raising money for next year. And I haven't even bothered Michelle with it because I know she's probably thinking I'm crazy. But when I'm on the plane coming home, I'm thinking about next year. I'm ready to go back. I could go back tomorrow if it was possible. But we know we got our lives here. But y'all just keep praying for us. And pray, Shirley, you keep saying you're going. You just keep praying, because I know you're going one day. And we love y'all. Next.
I don't know what to say now. Y'all done took everything. It was a blessing seeing those kids. Like I say, they remember you and how their eyes light up. And I enjoy giving out the food. Because, like, my kids, they've been like, what's this? I'm not going to eat this. Why you giving me this? And, Lord, I don't know what else, y'all. When you're this small of a group, you learn a lot about each other, too. You get real close. I'm not telling our secrets. But I want to thank everybody for sending us and all that you did. And there was my part of the lesson, I'm looking back for Bobby, because I always look back for Bobby, was the shoes of the Gospel of Peace. And part of my lesson was I did an obstacle course, and I took the kids, and I had big flip-flops, and I made them change their shoes and go through the obstacle course and timed them. And then I told them to go through with their regular shoes, and they thought that was the funniest thing. But, yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I'm nervous, y'all. But if you get the opportunity to go, take that chance, because I'm glad we did. Thank y'all.
Yeah, y'all ain't worth nothing. I'm going to take us home, even though y'all done took most of what I had to say. I've been over here trying to type things that y'all didn't go over. So, but anyhow, if nobody don't know, you know I would be the joke of the group. I'm the trouble. And that starts with coming through customs time we get over there. I mean, I ain't going to say I'm trying to hide nothing, but, you know, we're trying to get stuff in without having to pay for it. So I've got, I don't know, 20, 30 pair of flip-flops that it was going to cost us an arm and a leg to get in. They start digging through my stuff, and what's this for? Oh, it's just flip-flops. Well, you need to go to this counter over here. So you go over there, and they say, well, you need to pay such and such for trying to bring this in. And my smart tail says, what for?
That probably wasn't the smartest thing to say to customs. But needless to say, I wound up getting away with it because he said, well, my computer's down, so I can't charge you, so just go on about your way. So we get by that. And like I say, they've all done discussed all the villages. You know, we loved them all. I'm not going to pick one over the other. I mean, just like Midway. We actually timed it this year. There's pictures that I sent Miss Michelle. I don't know whether she put them on there or not, but it was 12 miles to get to that village, and it took us an hour and 20 minutes one way just to get there, just because of how bad the roads was. But as soon as I got there, I mean, I'll remember this. The two little boys at the hotel, the crabs would crawl from the ocean across to the hotel. I'm outside just helping them catch crabs, just to put them back in the water so they can replenish and everyone can still fish for them and have food for another time. I mean, I just enjoyed being out there with those two little kids. And like she said, yeah, I got to blow up Bobby most of the time, but I'd also dance with him just to get the kids started, just get them excited, just kind of get them into it. So, and like I say, just giving out the little things. I mean, just like a little small toy car, you pull backwards and it goes forward. It probably ain't worth a quarter. But when you give it to 4 or 5 of them kids, them little boys, and it just lights their eyes up because, I mean, it's something that they wouldn't normally get and something that our kids would probably just throw around, hit with a bat, just demolish it into pieces. So, I mean, like I said, ours have got it made, even though sometimes mine thinks I'm strict, but they have a lot more over here than what those kids over there will ever have. And I got to see, I think, 2 different girls for the 3rd consecutive time that I've been. And just watching them grow, taking different pictures with them, showing them previous pictures of how they were because they don't have pictures to look back on. And just showing them what they used to look like, it's kind of amazing to them. And one of the last ones we went to, there was a little kid with autism there. And his sister said he loved cars, so I gave him one. And that's what actually started me giving them cars to all those other kids. But that guy about run Jimmy ragged over there at that Kool-Aid cooler. That boy kept drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. But we couldn't tell him no. I mean, we was getting close to the end of everything, so we couldn't tell him no. And, but I kind of got down during my trip. And I know I'm not supposed to, but about halfway through, I had a friend whose son committed suicide while I was over there. And while we was sitting around the table to eat one night, you know, it was just getting to me, and I was off in a whirl all by myself. I mean, it's just hard to think that we're over there trying to help these other kids, and we got kids in our own area struggling as well. So that one kind of, it had me for a little while. But we got everything, I mean, I got back going and all, and I got my mind right. And probably the most influential thing I think that I probably done while I was over there was during my devotion. I can't remember the exact devotion, but after the devotion itself, I kind of made special comments or contributes about what each person meant or something good about each person. And I think it brightened them up along with brightening myself up because I was giving them a compliment in all of the words. So we all lifted each other up and kept each other going while we were over there. And we want to thank all of y'all for everything y'all done to send us over there for what we could do for these kids. Thank y'all.
Okay, we've got just a short slideshow, and the song that the slideshow is being played to is about the armor of God. And this is the song we tried to teach the children over there. It's a really upbeat song, and they enjoyed it. So if y'all got it, Rick?
Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, got the belt of truth. Put on my boots, gotta tell the good news. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. I put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the belt of truth. Put on my boots, I gotta tell the good news. The armor of God and the shield of faith.
That's Bobby.
Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Now in faith we can stand against every evil plan. Now it's time to be strong. He has won. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, got the belt of truth. Put on my boots, gotta tell the good news. The armor of God and the shield of faith. Got my sword and my helmet, now it's time to pray. Put on the full armor of God, stand strong against the evil one. Put on the full armor of God, the full armor of God. First things first, you got the belt of truth. Put on my boots, I gotta tell the good news. The armor of God and the shield.
I want to thank these for what they've done. You are our arms, and you are our ministry outreach there. And if you wonder why I give to missions, this is it right there. I have made a commitment to the Lord that I do this on a monthly basis. I pay into the missions because I believe in it. I was able to go to Africa 2 different times, stayed 10 days, 2 different times there, and I wouldn't take nothing for that memory we had there, and able to minister to people that's so hungry. You know, our children come to church, and most of the time they don't pay us no attention. That's why we have children's church and all of these things going on, because they'll sit in church here and they'll play with the telephones or something like that, and they couldn't tell you anything going on. But these kids were interested. I was looking at their face. And what touched my heart as much as anything about this is to see your compassion and the way that you feel about them. Our money was not in vain sending you over there. And I don't know who God may send with them next year, but God is moving in our church, and we need to keep this before us. I've always heard a mission-minded church will grow, and that's what I want to be, is a mission-minded church, so that we can grow. Anybody got anything you'd like to add to this tonight? Would you stand with us? Father, tonight I thank you for this team that have went and carried the gospel in the name of unity. And God, I thank you for the fruits that we're going to be able to reap from that. We may not see it here in the States, but we're going to reap fruit from these children that have been taught about putting on the armor of God. And God, I pray that you would strengthen our mission team and help it to grow, God, and help us to be able to help them and do that we can to keep them going. We ask now, God, that your will be done in our church and in the mission team's life. We ask all of this in your name. Amen. Men, don't forget Thursday night is